It's interesting that you mention all these gentlemen who mentored you, and because when one thinks back to professional soccer and Lesotho at the time, there was a lot of structure, there was a lot of infrastructure, so to speak, in as far as leagues and that sort of thing. I just want to use that to segue into your other profession now, or your profession now, the first one, which is property development and infrastructure management, that sort of thing. Looking at where we are as a country, or looking around us as a country, what would you say is one of the biggest challenges we currently face in as far as, I don't think I'd be remiss to say our infrastructure hasn't really developed in the last 20 years. From my childhood to now, the city still looks pretty much the same.
Oh yes, most certainly, yeah.
What would you say are some of the challenges we currently face, or what is the cause for that elongated pause on infrastructure development?
Lesotho, I think primarily our fundamental challenge is governance. Governance. Governance entail framework.
Yes, sir.
Legislation, how we're going to do infrastructure, planning regulations and the legalities that come with it, and institutions that govern and manage this infrastructure. You know? So these are that is the fundamental challenge we have. Now, good governance. And now, our highest authority is Parliament, and then the executive, and then other departments, ministries, and responsible, entities to ensure that we maintain good governance. Now, when you look across all sectors, you find that our legislation is outdated. In many fronts. I currently sit on the board, Petroleum Fund. When you look at the fuels,
the
regulations, and laws, I mean, they're outdated. As far back as 1983. Now, somebody that was born in 1983 today, they are 30 decades old, beyond, So, do you understand how backwards in that front, in that sector we are?
Yes, sir.
So the same goes to many other fields, So we need to, what we are not getting right is ensuring that our framework, legislation, and many other things, they are in sync with the realities that we live in.
What a great response.
But one would think one would think that in the interest of growth, in the interest of national movement forward, surely, these are things that even the guys before you are aware of. Why haven't we addressed it?
How have they missed it?
I think the most important thing that is a challenge to Lesotho is we have lost ourselves. Now we need to find ourselves.
Okay.
How have we lost ourselves? If you look back from where we come from as a nation, as a people, as a society, the forefather, our founding father of this nation, Moshoeshu, believed in systems, values that make us as Basotho different from other nations. Now, what have we done as Basotho? We have ran away or deviated from our founding values and copied and emulated other nations' values, which to us are a misfit.
Okay.
So our moral compass of values is lost. So we've got to find it. So essentially what we need as a nation is moral regeneration. Get back in touch with our roots, where we come from. I mean, simple respect, the Sotumo, it has degenerated.
Okay.
I'll make you an example. We just pass each other.
Yeah.
That Ifo, our founding father, Moshweshwe, when you greet, you say horse.
Go on. Let me ask you this, without making this political. The fish rots from its head. What has the various changes in leadership, what impact have they had on what you are talking about?
Well,
Our regression as a people.
well, as a leader, we need to now we need to now define what leadership is.
Correct.
And as a leader, fundamentally, you've got to lead the vision, deliver the vision and the mission, right? And make the people that are following you as a leader understand what the vision is.
Right.
And the vision should be able to answer the why, you know? And the why is very important to maintain and retain our identity as Basotho, the peace-loving people, the humble people, progressive nation, resilient nation. When you look back, you see the fortress Tababusi
Right.
that has stood the test of time throughout the Difakani and all of those wars to date. Apartheid regime. And when you look back then, because those values were still there, even at the time, during the apartheid era, you find Lesotho was this independent nation that was forced to bypass South Africa and deal with the rest of the world directly. At this present moment, it's becoming increasingly difficult because we have regressed and we are a shadow of our former selves as a country.
We're talking governance already.
Absolutely.
We're not talking corporate governance,
Yeah.
but we've started talking about governance.
Governance.
And
Yes.
just on that note, I want to ask a broader question because, I've read a lot of history of different African countries and, post-colonization or post-independence. And one of the most common thing or threads that you find is that governance is a big issue in most of these countries. We almost all get it wrong or fight against it. So the question I need to ask is, do you think the current systems of governance employed are applicable to Africa as a whole? Or do you think we as Africans lack the tenacity to actually follow up on good governance?
That's a great question. It's African solutions. I want to African solutions for African problems. I want to make what is going to be a controversial point that I hope you'll move on to. There is a case in South Africa where a royal, a head of a clan, he enacts what the media have called tyranny on his people. He is supposed to have burned kraals and he's supposed to have beaten people. And he was actually found guilty and served time. He's just recently been released. Now, I'm having a chat with a lawyer friend of mine, and he says, legally in Roman Dutch law, what this person has done transgresses all of these laws. But what this guy has done in traditional law is right. He is within his rights to enact all of these things that he has done. In fact, some of these things include taking the life of his subjects. And he says, now, the dilemma that we face is that in him going to jail, Roman Dutch law has superseded our traditional law. With what Mapetla has just asked, what you have highlighted with your point about having moved away from our essence. What do you say about these two parallels that need to run together?
I think it goes back to where we started. We need to find our moral compass. What identifies us? Why are we Basotho? What is Basotho? What does this mean to be a Mosotho? Now, having answered that, and the answer takes us back to the very beginning, how this nation was built. What were the objectives at the time? And I can bet you now, today, those objectives will stand the test of time.
Sure.
They are measurable in terms of time. They remain relevant. I made one example, Yahot, which now peace. And we embodied it, even the way we do things. When you greet somebody, let there be peace with you, my fellow human being, my brother, my sister, my neighbor. Peace. Is that still there?
Right.
The practice.
Right.
People are hungry, man.
It's very, fine between, and we now believe you've got to greet somebody that you know. And come on.
Yeah, that's never been what the society is about.
And when we grew up, or our parents' generation, now they'll tell you, we don't know this person.
Yeah.
They just woke up,
Yeah.
and they will slip over.
Right.
Sazilena, your own cousin, calls you. They even call you, pre-warn you.
And you open your fridge and you're like,
You shut the door.
You tell them now we are.
Chaka.
Yeah.
Because now the order of the day is material possessions.
It's
survival. Yes.
Sure.
Material possessions.
Right.
Money.
Right.
At the time, it was all about
The communal living.
sharing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we need to get back there,
Okay.
where we realize that money, material possessions, are not the end, but the means to an end.
Yes, sir.
Hold that thought. I'm going to bring this back to corporate governance then.
Yeah.
Because the means to the end in that world.
And don't forget the African solutions
Yeah.
to African problems.
Right.
Yes.
The means to the end is money.
Yeah.
How
And-
you get to the money.
Yeah, and exactly.
I saw that coming.
we almost live in a hyper-capitalist world right now.
Yeah.
You and I were talking off camera, we were talking about the coronavirus and what it's helped us do, and that is to recognize the simplicity of it all.
And what really matters.
Right. What really matters? Life. How do you reconcile that communal living that we need to be? How do you reconcile that which is about altruism with, exactly, with also the ultimate need as you sit there as a non-executive director? How do you reconcile that with the bottom line? We need to make money. We need to stay afloat.
Interestingly, to respond to this question immediately, as even in the corporate space,
Yes, sir.
the development has now forced organizations to be responsible corporate citizens.
Right.
It goes back to what I've been saying. Now, it's no longer the bottom line. It's now about 6 capitals. You know? Manufactured capital, human capital, intellectual capital, industrial capital,
Right.
you know, all the facets that make an organization.
Right.
And now the organization or the company has a responsibility not only to its shareholders, the guys that bring in the capital, but to the community and the people within which it operates. We've got to now learn to coexist harmoniously. Now, issues of sustainability come to the fore. Mining company, how are you mining in the best way that ensures sustenance for the people of that area?
For the community.
Yeah. Now you then see recently companies rolling out huge, impactful projects, corporate social. They are now calling it. They used to call it corporate social responsibility.
It's now called
So
investment.
as we
Investment,
develop, because of the realization of the need to be good corporate citizenry or citizenship, they've got to now invest in the community.
So it's come full circle.
It has come full circle. So nothing beats us. The time is now. Let us also go full circle. Go back and identify and resuscitate and reinvigorate in our minds the culture and ethos of what it is to be a Mosotho.
Yes.
And how do we do that? We, when you look at the model, the now the corporate entity of today, as we've just discussed it, that subscribes to the notion of 6 capitals, is exactly how Moshweshwe carved the Sotho and the Sotho.
Yes, sir.
Because he was taught by his mentor Morena Mohlomi that everybody has got to lead. And as a leader, you've got to inculcate this value.
Yes, sir.
That is where we have this value as a Sotho ebitswang lefisa, where I come and empower you, my brother. Hauna khomo, hauna le.
Right.
Jole ke nka khomo ya ka ke itlisa lefisa ho ntate Mapitla. Khomo ena ha e fitla e tswa. Ha e tswala le saka la ntate Mapitla go le a hola le.
He now has.
I'm empowering him.
He's able to sustain his family.
Right.
He's able to sustain. Le ena ka tsela e tshwanang. O tla ka e nngwe a etse lefisa le. That way ho etsahala jwang? Mme lefisa e a khutla khomeane ya ka ene ile mafisa. Mme morena Mapitla o tla e tlisa he itle e se nonne e nepaetse mohlomong e bile e tsamaya le namane. That is that whole notion. Do you still see that as Basotho?
And that still boils down to, like you said earlier, good leadership. So I want us to wrap up this segment just on that note. On the next segment, we're going to now start talking about what makes or defines good leadership. And then we're going to get into boards and expand on governance a little bit.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let me. There's a question that I didn't respond to that was still lingering. Still lingering.
It's fine.
Oh.
Yeah. No, you can answer.
But if you say so, I think actually it will set a very good tone for that segment. So let's hang on to it then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Food for Thought episode 3 with Mr. Chaka Nkofu, Mr. Maps, KB Fireman, Bond still the boutique, so the Fade Heights Honey. Catch us on the next segment.
Came through with the collar shirt, man. Corporate settings.
All right.